All right, and joining today is Shamar Williams, who fights Jose Vasquez at Anthony Pettis FC 20. That fight is on November 2nd. So, Shamar, I wanted to start here. It's actually been 6 months since you've been in the cage. Tons of cancellations, lots of, things, regional MMA kind of stuff, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
tell me a little bit about what it's been like in those 6 months for you.
Well, I was actually in the cage this past May. I'm not sure if you saw that. But yeah, was that 6 months ago?
That's 6 months ago, my
Oh, Jesus.
man.
Yeah, man, I've just been training, getting ready for fight after fight. And just staying in the gym and just working, man. My life just revolves around work and the gym pretty much.
Well, and so, you mentioned that fight in May, so let's talk about it. It ends with an illegal groin strike, like, 150 seconds in. And like you said, it doesn't even feel like it was 6 months ago, but now that's your most recent fight. Is it frustrating having that kind of like looming over your head?
Definitely, man. Because you train so hard for that moment, and just for it to end in that way is very disappointing. But what can you do? You can't dwell on it too long. You in this game, you got to get up and keep moving. So that's what I've been doing, man.
And obviously, you would most likely rather be more busy than you've been, right? So like what is the ideal time frame look like for you after that fight? Because it didn't look like you expended yourself all that hard in that fight. So what would you have liked to seen as a turnaround there?
Man, a month later, I'm trying to keep getting fights so I can get where I want to go. You know what I mean? If you look at my amateur career in the beginning, man, I took like what, like 4 fights in like a calendar year. So I like to stay active. I like to stay active and just keep challenging myself.
Well, and you mentioned in there too, you're trying to get where you want to go and you're trying to do the things you want to do. So talk to us a little bit about your hopes in the worlds of MMA. Like, or do we got a timeline on this? Do we got a vision board for where we're moving next?
Man, the goal is UFC, becoming a champion, helping my family out, feed all the people that I love, man.
I dig that. Now, is it always been fighting for you that was going to do that? You mentioned a pretty long amateur career where you rattled off a bunch of fights. Now you're, 5-1 as a pro, ripping through the pro ranks too. But was it always that for you?
Um, as a kid, yeah, I was just naturally like, so I moved to from Jamaica when I was like 11, 12, and I had no friends, so I was always in the house, and back then there was like Spike TV, and there was always reruns of UFC, and I was just naturally gravitated to like all that violence, man, and then I got into wrestling, and yeah, even at wrestling, I would end up start like throwing punches with my friends. We all, always like end up getting bloody nose and whatnot. So as a kid, I was naturally gravitated towards a sport. I wanted to be a fighter, but like as you get older, your teenage years, you get like influenced by friends, music, all this other stuff, and you kind of lose track of who you really are at heart. And so yeah, man, ever since a kid, and like I said, I got off path, but then I found myself again, and here I am, man.
So take me back to those Spike TV days, because that's the era I liked growing up in too, in terms of MMA. So talk to me about like when you were watching that. Was there a particular fighter, a particular fight that like impressed itself on you?
Man, Anderson Silva just sticks out right away. My dad and I were just like we like were in love with that guy. He like I remember how he did Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin just walked out of the cage. Like I'll forever remember that being at the bar with my dad, and yeah, so yeah, that Anderson Silva for sure.
I like it. Now, I gotta ask too, because you just mentioned your dad and him watching with you as well. Not a lot of kids at 11 years old tell their parents they want to get in fist fights for a living and have them love it, or have them like it. Was your dad into the idea of you becoming a fighter?
So my dad was a big boxing fan, so most definitely, hence why he got me into wrestling. So, yeah, he was definitely a supporter.
I like it. Now, you mentioned your dad liking boxing, but you yourself started with wrestling. Was that, just because of what was available? Was it that he was like, at least my son isn't going to get punched in the head? Like, what was sort of the idea behind you becoming, the wrestling side of things?
So I guess I was the one who brought it to him, man. I went over to one of my buddies' house at the time. Shouts out to Morgan Lang. He probably doesn't even know how much he inspired me. I went over to Morgan's house after school. I was in like the fifth grade, and we went to his room, and I saw all these medals, all these shiny gold medals on his walls. And like, yo, where did you get these from? He's like, wrestling. And then I went home and told my dad I wanted to like wrestle. And then we went to the community center, signed me up for VAA wrestling. That was just like the community wrestling. We weren't like traveling out of state and stuff, but eventually it led to that. And yeah, that's where it all started.
And now, I know you're working with the Minnesota Combat Academy up in Minnesota, Greg Nelson. Is that just being that you have a wrestling base? Was that just like the most natural fit for you when you stumbled upon there?
Uh, I actually started out somewhere else, and that wasn't the right fit. And then I came across Greg Nelson, and then I'm like, "Yep, this is where I need to be." Like he's got that catch wrestling style, so it just worked out perfect for me, man.
And so talk to me about walking into a gym and it not being the right fit too, because from what it sounds like, you started wrestling. It felt like that was a shoe that fit well. MMA is the thing that you knew you wanted to do, but like you walk into a gym and it just didn't work out. Tell us a little bit about that?
Man, I'm still salty at those guys. Uh, just the culture, and then they demote. So I went in there. I felt like they're just like, I don't know if like because I look different from all of them. Like they weren't like it's like they were scared to coach me, or like I just didn't feel very included. And and then like when I did like go to like an MMA class, they like took me out of the MMA class and said I'm not ready. I'm not ready. So like, okay, I need to get out of here. They're not getting my money. And I go over at go over to the academy, and like yeah, they started me out like lower, but like I everybody was welcoming. I felt included. I felt like I could actually like do something here, pretty much.
I love that. Now, and you mentioned the catch wrestling style too. Being that you had that wrestling base in the back pocket, was it just so natural to start doing the things that he, is impressed on all of the fighters that have come through?
Yeah, definitely. Greg Nelson, he just the way like he intertwines the wrestling with the MMA so well, and it was just the right fit for me.
I love it. Now, obviously, there's tons of names that we know who train up there. John Castaneda was up there, Quang Lee. Like, who are some of the people who are big for you when it comes time to get ready for a fight?
So yeah, I've trained with John Quang. Um, I sometimes I like when I just started, like a lot of those guys like stayed away from me because I wasn't in control of my power, you know what I mean? So so like I guess I just train with whoever wants to go with me pretty much, man. Like Rashal Malik, I've learned so much from him, man. Like his jiu-jitsu game he's a black belt. So and I'm one of those guys where like I like when I train with someone, I can like copy their style, or I take things from them and then like I make it like my own. And I feel like I've gained so much from Rashal Malik and his style.
I love it. Now, let's get to talking about your fight because obviously we got that fight coming up November 2nd. Jose Vasquez. Now, when you get a name on the regional scene, as you've known from the last 6 months, you can't really count on it all that much. But when they give you the name Jose Vasquez, you do a little research. What are sort of your first thoughts on the guy?
Tough kid, man. Looks strong and very confident in himself.
I like it.
And then like his style wise, he seems like one of those like guys that can just keep going. Boxer that keeps like coming at you pretty much.
And so, from you being a guy who does come from a wrestling background, do you prefer to have that kind of clash of style where you get a boxer standing against you, or do you like to try to like one up the other wrestlers?
See, I don't like fighting wrestlers. Man, especially like perfect example during my amateur career. a guy from Rufo Sport. I can't remember his name, but he was a wrestler. But like, he gave me such a hard time, like with the wrestling, man. So like, I'm not a fan of fighting wrestlers. So yeah, I guess like I like fighting like boxers that keep coming at me.
All right, well, this is the perfect matchup, and that leads me perfectly to my last question. I always like to end these things with a prediction. So, November 2nd, Anthony Pettis FC 20. How's this one end?
Me taking Jose Vasquez out, man. Either submission or knocking him out.
All right, well, you heard it here first, folks. This has been Shamar Williams, who fights Jose Vasquez, Anthony Pettis, FC 20. And once again, that fight, November 2nd. Shamar, thank you so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me, man.